The Friday Sports Riot.
I'ma start a ride.
The Friday Sports Riot on sportstownchicago.com.
What's up? This is the Friday Sports Riot on sportstownchicago.com. I'm Ryan Hoppy.
And I'm Ryan Stuppridge.
And Ryan, who is on the phone line right now?
From 670 The Score, we have Mark Grote on the Illinois Center for Broadcasting Hotline. What's up, Mark?
Ryan, what's going on, guys?
Nothing much. So what happened last night is the Blackhawks lost in 3 overtimes to the St. Louis Blues.
Well, to me, it was some missed opportunities. Obviously, they came out of the gate strong with the 3 goals in the first period against Ryan Miller, and then in the second period really bugged me of regulation. That is, I guess we should be specific here. It bugged me because they controlled the puck for about the first 8 minutes, where they had a few grand opportunities against Ryan Miller. They were not able to cash in. It was a good overall period for them, except for the fact they didn't score. And I remember watching the game and thinking, is this going to be the old look back and be haunted by this period? And to me it was. The other part was, if we're going to be critical, was the first 2 overtimes. If you have a power play in 1 overtime, that's kind of a gift. If you have a power play in 2 overtimes, that's unbelievable, because usually officials are going to be a little bit lenient with penalties when it comes to the playoffs, and it comes to penalties in those scenarios. So overall, you can't be too disappointed with what happened, but those are the areas that kind of sting me when I think about what happened and why they didn't win ultimately.
Mm-hmm. And so what do the Hawks need to do to rebound from this tough loss and get back at it Saturday afternoon?
Well, I think there's not a whole lot of serious adjustments that they need to make, because it just came down to that they seem to be in the right spots at the right time, and they just were not able to execute. So, I mean, Joel Quenneville probably will do something as far as tinkering with lines is concerned, although the lineup that he had seemed to be successful, putting Kane on the third line. He had a goal on a breakaway on a beautiful 80-foot pass from Jonathan Toews. So I don't think there's anything striking that needs to change. It's just the cliched, they need to execute when they have the opportunity.
And what is your take on the chance that Coach Q could get fined for his antics last night?
Well, all I can say is his antics were pretty hilarious.
Yeah,
we were having fun breaking that down on the Score today, and just the idea of the front office having that tape and having to break it down and analyze whether or not he was actually making the gesture, or if it was just a quote-unquote adjustment. Yeah. But apparently it was a gesture, because Coach Q, basically admitted it and said it was, I don't remember his exact words, but something to the extent that it was Bush League for him to do that. Now, I haven't heard if there's a suspension could happen or a fine. If he gets fined, I think he knows it's coming. To me, it's no big deal. If there's like a suspension out of this, that would shock me.
And now let's move on to some Cubs baseball. Now, I know that they lost that doubleheader to the Yankees and got shut out in both those games, and they lost today to Cincinnati. Is this what you expected from the Cubs, starting off the season like so poorly?
Yeah, unfortunately it is, because they just didn't do anything in the off season to make their team better from a team that lost, in the low 90s last year. I mean, how could anybody have expected them to be any better from last year based on what they didn't do this off season? I mean, I guess you could say that the guy they faced in New York the other day, Masahiro Tanaka, is sort of symbolic of that, because he is the guy that they went for and just were outbid, because the Yankees are the Yankees. And I'm not one of these people who's mad at the Cubs or critical of the Cubs because they didn't get Masahiro Tanaka. They lost out to the freaking Yankees, and that's okay. If you lose the Yankees when it comes to matters of money, you shouldn't be ashamed of yourself. But if you're accepting of the plan that that the Cubs and their rebuild, as I am, then you accept the fact that they are going to lose like this, and that they just didn't do anything to improve themselves. And it's just about watching certain players.
And the Cubs' offense has been bad lately, as they got shut out by the Yankees in 2 games and was very bad against the Reds. What needs to improve if the offense even wants to compete? Why are they so bad?
it's well, Ryan. It comes down to you have bad players. You have a roster filled with guys who are, would be, for the most part, would be happy to take a 1 or 2 year contract at this point in their career. Really, you zero in on the young guys. Anthony Rizzo's actually having a pretty good season with the bat, hitting well lately, working counts, spraying the ball all over the field. Starlin Castro has been better. Mike Alt's been completely inconsistent. But yeah, it just comes down to the fact that these are not great. These are average Major League Baseball players you're dealing with on the Cubs for the most part, and that's the way. And quite frankly, Theo Epstein wouldn't have it any other way, because this is the way he's trying to build the team right now, and better things are to come. All those guys that are in the outfield, some of the infield, they're just holding places until the guys down on the farm are ready to go.
Do you think that the Cubs could trade Samardzija before the trade deadline, or maybe possibly even sooner than that, or do you think that they possibly hold on to him for the long haul?
Well, it's a tough call, because the word is they're, and this doesn't take a genius to figure out, that the Cubs are asking for too much right now, or more than any team has been willing to give up to this point. And I was reminded today, and it's a good point, that the Cubs don't have to do anything. They control Samardzija for the next couple of years, so it's not like they have to get rid of this guy. So they can wait around and wait for a team that becomes, now desperate's the word, but a team that wants to put their team over the edge, a competitive team, maybe the New York Yankees. That's a possibility. I believe that he still will get traded before the deadline. I don't think it's going to happen as fast as some people are predicting that it will go down, but I do think that it'll happen. He's having a decent year, and there's going to be teams that are going to want a guy like Jeff Samardzija.
Moving on to the White Sox, they are 8-8. What is your take on that so far?
Well, I think overall, I guess 8-8, considering you had a 99 loss season from last year. I guess that's pretty good. I still have no idea what exactly this team is going to be. Are they going to continue to hit like they have been? And even their hitting has kind of slowed down just a little bit. I mean, you have one. It's sort of the same questions we were asking before. I mean, you have Chris Sale as your absolute ace. Some people think that John Danks is quote unquote back. I think that's crazy to say that John Danks is back.
Oh yeah.
If you want to say he's back, then you have to think about 2008 John Danks, and it's nuts to think that he's anything like that or anything like he was in his first couple of years. I'm sorry, but when you he had a decent start the other night, but when you walk 4 guys and your pitching staff walks 15 altogether,
right?
It's hard to say. So their record is perfectly indicative of what they are. You have no idea what they are. 8-8 this early in the season. You don't know which way that kind of a team is going.
Could their 8-8 record just be a fad, or could this go through May and June where they're around the 500 mark?
I suppose if you want me to predict, I would say that they're not going to be at the 500 mark. I would say they're going to be under the 500 mark, and some of that is definitely a product of. I mean, who in that bullpen do you look at and say, yeah, I feel good about this guy coming in? I mean, there's really, as currently constituted, there is not one guy. I mean, Ronald Belisario had his turn last night in terms of giving up the 2 runs in the 9th inning. We've seen what the problems that Matt Lindstrom has had. I mean, just up and down that bullpen. It's not been good. So I think that alone is an ingredient that can make a baseball team under 500 if you have a bullpen that is not dependable. And eventually you're going to get Nate Jones back, but it's not like he's proven to be a savior in the past either.
Do you think that Robin Ventura maybe takes his guys out a little too early, makes more changes than he has to, and goes through the bullpen really quickly?
Yeah, a lot of people say that. I'm going to say no for now. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt because it's still early, and I think that managers are allowed to figure what they have early on. If they have to make too many moves early on, whether it's with the lineup, whether it's with the starting pitching, whether it's with the bullpen, I don't have a single problem with that at all, with Robin Ventura being quote-unquote too fast. Now, if it continues all season and it seems unnecessary, then we'll be critical of that. But right now, I think every manager is allowed to figure out exactly what they have, and I think that's all Robin Ventura is doing.
And now moving on to the Bulls. A lot of fans, Mark, did not want to see them play the Nets since the Nets are actually a good team. So do you think they lucked out by having to face the Wizards in the first round?
Yeah, I don't know if the terminology "lucked out" would be accurate, but it's definitely putting them in a good spot. I mean, I like it. I honestly like the Bulls to win 2 series still. I mean, I said that a long time ago, and I'm going to stick to it. That I think that they'll beat the Washington Wizards. I think they'll win that series in 6. And I do believe they will beat the Indiana Pacers in round 2, assuming the Pacers, and we all are just assuming they will beat Atlanta in the first round, which I think is a safe assumption to make. I really what we learned about the Chicago Bulls is that absolutely, positively, anything is possible, because it's preposterous that this team did what it did without Luol Deng, without Derrick Rose.
And now back in 2009 and 2010, that was the breakout for Derrick Rose to the whole nation when they played the Boston Celtics and then the Cavs, even though they didn't win in the first round. Could this be the same thing for the Washington Wizards, where John Wall has like a breakout series? Maybe he doesn't beat the Bulls, but he shows America why he was the first overall pick just a few years ago.
Yeah, maybe, actually. I mean, this is his first year as an all-star. He's anxious to prove he was worth being picked where he was picked, and he's a great player. He's lightning fast. He's learned how to play within the offense and lead what is an up-tempo Wizards team, and that's a good call. I like that. I mean, I don't think that, I'm obviously picking the Bulls to win the series, but there's really nobody else beyond John Wall in that lineup that you look at and say, yeah, this guy's going to beat us, or you fear this guy. It's his show, much like once upon a time it was Derrick Rose, and you guys weren't around for it, but once upon a time early on in his, I don't think you guys were around for it, but when Michael Jordan...
I was very young.
Yeah, I bet. When he went crazy and scored his 63 against the Boston Celtics, and he had no support, and they lost the series, but that was his coming out as well, just like you mentioned with Derrick Rose and maybe John Wall, too. He'll at least be fun to watch for the Wizards.
Yeah. And now, before we let you go, are you doing anything over the weekend that's exciting? I know you were hosting with Dan McNeil these last few days, which was a lot of fun to listen to.
Yeah, I think I'm just going to go to Dan McNeil's house, and we're gonna drive around on his riding mowers and cut grass and stuff like that. I think that's the plan. No, actually, let's see. Tonight, my night, after I get off the phone with you guys, I think I'm going to go work out.
Nice.
Come back here. I'm going to watch some White Sox baseball. I'm usually disciplined on Friday night because I got the Saturday morning show with Steve Rosenblum as well. So I'll chill, stay in, do prep, and then I'm weighing some options for tomorrow. It's going to be a nice day, so I'm going to figure it out. And then Sunday, I've got the Easter with the family back in the grand suburbs. So tomorrow night's the big question mark. So if you guys got anything going on, let me know.
Okay.
Sounds good. Well, Mark, thanks for coming on to Friday Sports Riot on sportstownchicago.com, and we hope to have you on again soon.
Always a pleasure, boys.
Thanks, Mark.
You're welcome.
That was Mark Grote of 670 to Score. You like how I said that? Like Grote. As he came on the Friday Sports Riot at sportstownchicago.com to talk about Chicago sports. We will be right back, and we are going to have Gravy from Hot 105.3 FM, the host of the Gravy and Rachel in the Morning Show. Very top-tier rated morning show up there in Grand Rapids, Michigan, to talk about the White Sox. He's our analyst. We will be right back. Hang on!
The Friday Sports Riot on sportstownchicago.com.